What's up, guys? The homie Bigg Vic. We back in here with another video, and today we're checking out DAT's new equipment filters. Listen, if you got cargo vans, sprinter vans, smaller box trucks, even your 24, 26 foot box trucks, I think these new filters are going to change the game for a lot of people that are using load boards to book their freight, especially if you're fluent with partialing loads on your truck. This is going to be a game changer for a lot of people. DAT just did an overhaul of their load board. Let's take a look at the new equipment type searches. So as you can see, if I look over here, I'm on the load board right now. If I look over here, of course, we got reefer in there. Ben had reefer. Straight box truck, we been had that. So new, we didn't have straight box truck reefer searches. As you can see, we got sprinter van searches that we can search for. Straight box truck hazmat, that's new. That's definitely something that we needed. Straight box truck hazmat. We got sprinter van hazmat. Sprinter van temp control, that would basically be like a reefer sprinter van. There are refrigerated sprinter vans out there. If you guys didn't know, now you know. Also, you see sprinter van team drivers. So some of you guys that are out there, you got sprinters, even if you got smaller box trucks like the 16 footers, 14 footers, some of you guys have reached out to me asking me about, you know, some of your smaller equipment. Where could you find loads at? There were some other load boards out there, but those load boards that were quote unquote specifically designed for box trucks, box trucks, sprinter vans, cargo vans, those load boards are requiring a significant amount down to use the load board, like $300-400. And then some of them are also requiring you to sign a 12-month contract. So what happens if you sign that contract and you don't book as many loads that you thought you were going to book, right? That's going to be money down the drain. You're going to get really frustrated. So it's great that DAT has released these new filters, because guess what? There's only a monthly subscription. They're not locking you into a 12-month weird subscription, which I still think is weird. I don't care what load board it is, that they're locking you into a 12-month subscription. That's crazy. Like, you have to keep the board for 12 months. So I always felt like if you have a great load board, right? Let's think about this for a second. If you have a great load board, at some point, if your clients are building relationships with brokers, and let's say you get some dedicated freight out of using the load board, that's supposed to be the goal at the end of the day, you know, not to always depend on the load boards for the rest of your trucking career. You know, it's up to you if you want to. It's cool. I did it for the first couple of years. No big issues in that department. But at the end of the day, as you get more seasoned, you start understanding, like, okay, contracts make more sense, especially when you're hiring drivers and, you know, scaling up your company. You don't want to be fighting, you know, the boards every single day unless you hire a dispatcher to do that. You know, me personally, as an owner, yes, I would probably put someone over that. But if you're still dispatching yourself, or if you have a dispatcher, this is also a quick gem. If you have a dispatcher, they're going to have to get access to your load board to dispatch your truck. This is not available to dispatchers unless, you know, dispatchers don't have access to the DAT load board unless they're using a carrier's using a carrier's account, basically. Again, we got reefer, we got straight box truck reefer, sprinter vans, straight box truck hazmat, sprinter van temp control, and sprinter van team. So I like these new filters because say for example, if I am looking to partial something, I can always filter out, you know, the 53 footer stuff, go straight to what I'm looking for. I always book my loads like that. I know some people leave, you know, they just put van in their filter searches and, you know, call them brokers. Most times they are looking for a 53 footer truck. Sometimes, yes, sometimes every now and again it can go on the box truck. But by the time you go through all those 53 footer loads, you know, those brokers that are requesting 53 footer equipment, you can just get right to it and look for what equipment you currently own. You know, do those searches. I think just makes the most sense to me. Plus, time is money. especially when you're booking loads off the load board. You call them brokers up. The earlier, the better it's gonna be for you. So if I look here, I see straight box truck loads. Which one is this? This is a van or reefer load. I see reefer, straight box. What's this? This one is van or reefer. Let's scroll up some more. We also have, here's one, straight box truck reefer. I'm glad they have that feature up there. There's another one, straight box truck reefer. But I'm glad they added those features because, yes, can you call brokers, reach out to brokers that have equipment for 53 footers and possibly get that on your truck? If you have the right dimensions, yes, a lot of times you can pull that off because they're looking for, you know, especially if you have maybe a CDL truck that can carry over 10,000 pounds. But if you do see something that's 6,000, 7,000 pounds, I know automatically we think in our brains like, oh, this will work for the box truck. But sometimes the equipment is a lot taller than the equipment, than your box truck equipment. Because I've done it before. Yes, I've booked the load that said 53 footer. I looked at the weight of it. It says 6,000. I get out to the shipper. The guys come out and they look. Oh yeah, this not gonna fit right here. This is 6,000 pounds, but your truck is too small for what we got to put on it. The requested equipment was 53 footer, and then what happens is you end up wasting your time at that particular broker. Now you got to go back to the drawing board and start over again when you probably could have found a load that fitted your truck from the get-go. So I'm glad that DAT has these new filters set up for the, you know, the equipment that a lot of you guys currently have, which is straight box trucks. You know, maybe some of you have reefers, not a lot of you. A lot of you got dry box trucks, sprinter vans, cargo vans. Someone just hit me up not too long ago. They had a smaller box truck that they were trying to sell, 14, 15 footer. Now with them opening up more equipment searches, now you guys can find equipment for some of those smaller trucks. You know, like a lot of the 16-foot cube box trucks, smaller trucks. But what I would recommend is using these filters to basically add more freight onto your truck. Let's say if you're partialing loads. I still feel like partialing is more than like, to me, that's still the best way to book freight for your truck. You know, start early, filter out your searches, put that freight on your truck, partial freight, especially if you're going a longer distance. Get you a couple of loads on that truck and make that work. Book that first load, start early, get on that board 7:30, 8 in the morning, find that first load, start searching for that second one. This strategy just works better when you're OTR, you know, and some regional as well, but it's probably not the best local strategy, right? If you're just looking to move freight local, trying to partial loads locally probably wouldn't work. Most partial loads are going a longer distance, right? They're going out of state. That's why they're partial, and that's why brokers have them, because they're trying to piggyback off of something you already had. So when you guys are looking at the load board and you're looking at the rates for some of the partial loads, they're lower rates because they expect you to already have freight on your truck that you're already moving. And this is just, you know, some extra dollars in your pocket if you're already going in that same direction. So that's when partialing makes the most sense. If you haven't already got DAT load board, if you're looking for a load board, the link will be down below in the description. I think this is an incredible upgrade for DAT. It doesn't matter which plan you have access to these filters for DAT to think about some of the smaller carriers out here, like the cargo vans, the sprinter vans, you know, the smaller box trucks and box trucks, especially a lot of the reefer box trucks when there was just straight box truck before, or you had to look under the 53 footer equipment for reefers in order to, you know, kind of book the box truck reefer stuff. So I'm excited about this new feature. I know some of you guys probably are as well. If you didn't know, if you didn't see that the load board has been overhauled with new equipment types, get your subscription down below. Link will be in the description box. I'll also pin it in my comment section so that you can get access to the DAT load board and check out their new features. Once again, I appreciate you guys for watching. Appreciate y'all tapping into the content. We're getting close to 100,000 subscribers. I appreciate y'all. It's Tommy Bigg Vic TV. You already know what it is. Always hustle, never stop growing. Until the next video, let's go, let's get it. Let's eat, baby.